Hi, so today we're talking about Gender, Your Guide, a gender-friendly primer on what to know, what to say, and what to do in the new gender culture by Lee Airton. I've talked about this book briefly a few months ago, I think, in a roundup of books I thought were good for parents of transgender children. However, I wanted to talk about this book again because I really think it's good for anybody. If you are looking for a last minute gift idea for a teacher, if you are a teacher, you're looking to have a more gender inclusive classroom, if your child has just come out as transgender and you're wondering, how do I get the people in my child's life to be more understanding about gender and all the things, this is an excellent book because it's not specifically for parents. And I'm going to put a review about it up on my website this week, but I wanted to talk about it a little today because it has a couple really great sections in it that I want to talk about really quick, and I'm going to try and be really quick because I don't want to run out of room in the video. It starts out talking about gender, like the difference between gender as a fact or gender as a process. It's kind of like the nature versus nurture debate. And is it biology? Is it a process of how people are raised? Is it a bit of both? And then it leaves you to decide that for yourself. And then the author obviously gives you their opinion about, I was trying to see if I thought this person was a male or female. It doesn't really matter. We're going to use they. Their opinion about it, and actually I believe it is a male because it goes on to talk about getting basketball shoes later on in the book. So there you have it. So it starts out talking about like gender in the world, today's world, what that looks like, how it's different from what it used to be. There's a section in the very first part of the book that has you lay out your views on gender. It's called Establishing Your Gender-Friendly Roadmap. And it's like, it's really important at the start of the book so that it kind of guides you to how you're going to work on setting the stage for the rest of the book, things you might need a little bit more help with, what your views about gender are so you know where you can improve and what you already have a good base on. So they give you this list right here. I bookmarked it. All these questions to ask yourself. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's just 8 of them. And so then they ask you questions like, what did you notice? And what they want you to notice, they call them the big, what does he uses? The big, I'm not going to spend too much time looking for it. But it's like the two big genders, male and female. What are your views on those two genders? And then are they rigid? Are they not? And what happens if somebody steps outside of your views about those genders? Like, what are your thoughts about them? And then there's questions that go along, like with, there's like a whole bunch of like, what did you notice? Who can help? And then, so starting from there, it's kind of like how you can move forward with, being a more gender-friendly person, right? So after that, there's chapters about learning about the transgender spectrum, people who are transgender, what all that means. They go on to talking about language, pronouns, gender neutral language. There's a whole section in here about common pronouns for transgender people, and then what some of the common and or less common rather pronouns for non-binary people are. So I thought that was helpful. They give you a pronunciation chart right over here for how to say some of the less common gender neutral pronouns. They spell them out, and then how do you say them? So you might come across some of those gender neutral pronouns and think, okay, well, I can see what they are, but like if I see somebody who's using those, like how do I pronounce that when I'm talking to that person? Well, they give you the phonetic spelling of those pronouns right here in this book. So I thought that was also helpful. There is a whole strategy for using people's pronouns correctly. There is a chapter in here. What else do I have bookmarked? Yes. Under gendered, there's a chapter about changing gendered language. So as we are becoming a more or a less gender-specific society, we use more gender-neutral language. What does that look like? So there's a whole alternatives to common gendered relationship terms, right? So instead of only saying, you can also say. Example, so instead of only saying husband or wife, like if you're introducing somebody, like I would say, this is my husband Neil, that's his name in case you didn't know, I could say this is my spouse Neil, or this is my partner Neil. That doesn't mean that we're not married. It just means that if I'm in a large group of people, I'm being more inclusive to people who I might be in a gathering with who maybe are gender neutral or, non-binary or transgender, which opens up to them to be able to know that I'm a safe person that they can talk to, or gives them the opportunity to also say, well, this is my partner, so-and-so, and know that that's a safe place for them to be able to do it. So it just makes people who are transgender or non-binary or in the LGBT community feel more included when they're not only hearing very gendered language, this is my wife, this is my husband, this is my sister or brother. So instead they're hearing, this is my sibling. So then that gives them the opportunity too to say, this is my sibling or my partner or my child. You hear me say that a lot about my oldest. I have a non-binary child. So people are always like, well, what do you call them? I call them my oldest child. I mean, that's the terminology that you use. So there's a whole chapter on that. And then it goes on for some more. And at the back end of the book is a whole chapter with an action plan for standing up beside your person. And then they give you right off some strategies that they're going to go through. Pay attention, opt out of question calling, identify hot spots, take action, and then when you're all done this book, they say, now you have a toolkit of things to do to be a more inclusive person who uses gender well in all things. And at the very end, actually, there's a chapter. It might not be a chapter. It might just be, it's a little thing in the back. It's for transgender people who are reading this book. It's kind of like a little letter from the author. So if you're transgender, you could also read this book. This book isn't just for allies or cisgender people. So I wanted to just pop on here today and talk about this book a little bit more, because I feel like last time I talked about it, it was kind of like a rushed in passing, oh, by the way, here's this book, it's really great, you should read it, because I do think that. I think everybody should read this book. So I'm going to put a review of it sometime in the next few days up on my website. I probably will talk about it a little bit more in the feed this week, some quotes and all of that fun stuff. And if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the comment box and let me know. And if you've already read this book, I'd love to hear what you thought about it. And we can talk about that too. Okay, and also Christmas is this week, so if you are watching this the week that I filmed it and you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas to you, and if not, then I hope you have a great week, and I will catch you soon. Okay, bye.